Live from WSIL TV in high definition, this is News 3.
Good evening. WSIL continues to deal with broadcasting issues because of a lightning strike yesterday morning. At this hour, our over-the-air signal still has audio and video problems. We are back on at full strength on Mediacom cable and on Dish HD. We are still not available on Dish Network Standard Channel or on DirecTV. For viewers having trouble, our newscasts are also streaming online now at WSILTV.com, and we're posting them on our YouTube channel as well. Now on to our top story. A temporary flood recovery center is now open in Cairo. That center opened today at Emerson Elementary School. Flood victims can go there for face-to-face meetings with federal disaster relief specialists. They can help people apply for recovery grants and loans. FEMA's Sam Ventura says flood victims have been through a lot, and the agency is here to help.
They've gone through a traumatic period with flooding in their homes, and so they're concerned. And we want to make sure that somehow that we can help, make those concerns a little less for them on the thing. So that's why we're here.
The Recovery Center in Cairo is open until next Tuesday, June 21st. Then it will reopen again from June 29th until July 5th. News 3's Sam Smith caught up with some of the flood victims who came to the center for help today.
Floodwaters forced Cairo residents to evacuate their homes for 10 days.
Water was really high. Water was leaking through these cracks.
Deborah Pruitt's basement was flooded, damaging her water heater and creating mold. She went to FEMA's Recovery Center to get help.
I'm glad that they have it set up where we can get some type of relief, relief funds, and because we lost all our food, and by them helping us, it's helping us to, replace some of the things that we lost.
Once they were allowed to return home, Deborah and her husband spent a week cleaning the basement. Another Cairo resident, John Miller, can't believe what he went through.
Unexplainable. Never been through anything like this in my life. Just totally kicked out of a town.
He's thankful FEMA has reached out to his community.
A lot of people don't know where to go. A lot of people, they around here and don't know about help unless they pick up a flyer or something. So it's nice that they come down through here, see all the cars and marquee up there, so give people something to do.
FEMA's in Cairo to listen and to answer questions. Their public information officer says one-on-one attention is key.
We're here, and they can come in here and talk to somebody. It's not just telephones. They can come in and talk to somebody. It's very important to them.
Alexander County is the first in southern Illinois to host a disaster recovery center. In Cairo, Sam Smith, News 3.
Another recovery center opens tomorrow in Junction at the Gallatin County School. That center will close June 22nd and then reopen again June 30th through July 4th. Let's get your first check on weather now. Jim's watching radar again. Jim.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of thunderstorm activity earlier this afternoon in southern Illinois. That has since moved on out of the region, and it looks like things will quiet down at least for about a day or so. Taking a look at Storm Commander right now, you can see the last few storms as we watch a 2-hour animation here as they were moving through parts of Hardin County and Gallatin County. The biggest storms within the last couple of hours were up around Wayne County, Edwards, Wabash, and a little bit of White. Earlier this afternoon, we saw some strong storms as well in Johnson County. Took a couple of reports of hail up to quarter size coming in from there. Real quickly, checking on lightning. Lightning has moved away from the region, but on the same map, we plot in temperatures coming in from the airports, and we are starting to see some cooler air moving in. And even where we don't see the cooler air yet, winds are starting to shift out of the northwest, a good sign that a weak cold front has moved through. The 82 in Mount Vernon, the 83 in St. Louis, good signs there that we could see some cooler air rolling in for tonight. I think we'll see a pretty quick cool down once the sun goes down, and then it looks like tomorrow temperatures will be down a little bit in the morning, warming up in the afternoon with a lot of sunshine after that. More heat, more humidity, and more chances for storms rolling in for the weekend. I'll have a full look at the forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Jim. Coal mines across the country are supposed to have new high-tech safety equipment in place today. It's required under 2006 mine safety legislation passed after deadly explosions in West Virginia and Kentucky. Mines are required to have gear that keeps near constant track of miners underground and lets them communicate with the surface even after an explosion. It's not clear how many mines have met today's deadline for installing those new systems. Well, a White County business that played a key role in the Gulf oil spill cleanup is working on new ways to deal with such disasters. News 3's Andy Waterman spoke with officials at Elastec American Marine today. He joins us now in the newsroom with the story. Andy.
Well, Eden, by the time the well in the Gulf was capped, Elastec supplied BP with more than 500,000 feet of boom to keep the oil from spreading in the Gulf. Now they've been challenged to make another product just in case a similar disaster ever occurs. This time last year, employees at Elastec American Marine in Carmi had their hands full making oil containment boom to ship to the Gulf, and there was no end in sight. Now the disaster has been taken care of, and Elastec is partly to thank for it.
Since then, BP's put out a report that talks about all the fire boom that was used, and it touted both our models of fire boom as the best.
Elastec marketing assistant Brian Cook says demand for their boom has gone down over the last few months. But employees are busy working on the next big advancement in oil spill containment technology.
The challenge is to create a device that can pick up 2,500 gallons of oil a minute. That's a tremendous amount of oil to have to pick up so quickly.
A private environmental group issued the challenge because of the spill in the Gulf.
They saw that oil skimming on such a huge scale was very difficult and thought that there was definite improvement needed.
The best idea will earn a reward of more than $1 million. So far, Elastec has come up with this skimmer, which will use 64 grooved discs to take oil out of the water and dispose of it.
Some of our early tests are very promising to meet and even exceed the limit that the XPRIZE Foundation has set forth.
Elastec's machine is one of 10 finalists in the world. If the company wins the challenge, they get to fully produce their new skimmer device. But Cook says win or lose, this advancement is definitely needed after the spill in the Gulf.
If the skimmer doesn't win, then the technology has been invented and created so we can still use that skimmer for day-to-day use.
Elastec officials say although the spill in the Gulf did so much damage, it did a lot of good for their business. They've added more jobs and opened a new manufacturing facility.
Andy, thanks. An 84-year-old man's under arrest for a shooting in Jefferson County. Monroe Whaley was taken into custody yesterday. He's accused of shooting Brian Boots last Thursday at a home in Belle Rive. Investigators say it happened during a domestic dispute. The 53-year-old Boots was flown to a St. Louis hospital but is recovering. Whaley is charged with aggravated battery with a firearm. Illinois lawmakers are headed back to Springfield. Today, the governor and legislative leaders called for a special session starting a week from today. That session is needed so the state can continue funding public works projects like SIU's Transportation Center and Route 13 expansion. Lawmakers went home last month without an agreement to pay for those projects. The Senate attached other spending to the bill, and the House did not go along with that. The governor says public works projects could be forced to shut down if lawmakers don't work out that funding dispute. Day 4 of deliberations at the Rod Blagojevich trial. Jurors worked quietly and went home without reaching a verdict. They're expected to keep combing through evidence again tomorrow. There's no word if they sent any more notes to the judge today. Yesterday, jurors asked about extra pages in a transcript of FBI wiretaps, but gave no hint of whether they're close to a verdict. Blagojevich faces 20 counts, including allegations that he tried to sell or trade an appointment to the U.S. Senate. Williamson County's first ever female judge will run for election to keep her seat. Carolyn Smoot was appointed resident circuit judge 6 months ago, replacing the retiring Judge Ron Ickes. Today she announced her intent to continue on the job. She says it's an honor she does not take lightly.
But it's a very much of a privilege for me to be up there and to try to decide cases, but also to understand that these are human beings that are in the courtroom.
Smoot has more than 27 years experience as a lawyer and was director of paralegal studies at SIU. Well, some showers out there today, but in between, not bad if you wanted to get outside. Jim's forecast is still ahead this evening. But first, a derailment scare in Iowa prompts concerns about train safety nationwide. How local emergency officials are reacting next on News 3.
You're watching News 3 in HD, your Southern Illinois news leader, with Eden Schultz, meteorologist Jim Razor, and Darren Kennard.
Again, we'd like to apologize for continued problems with our broadcast signal because of yesterday's lightning strike here at WSIL. We are working to fix the problems, and we appreciate your understanding. Amtrak is installing new security measures today after someone tried to derail a train in Iowa. The hackers broke a lock at a switching station and shifted the tracks, rigging them to derail a train carrying flammable ethanol. Amtrak's working to add more sensors and cameras to monitor for track intruders now and training employees to better spot suspicious behavior. News 3's Evie Allen spoke to Perry County officials about precautions they take in case of train emergencies.
Perry County was the site of a major train accident in February of 2003. A freight train derailed and spilled hazardous material, forcing hundreds of people to evacuate. And emergency managers say they are always ready in case of an emergency. County EMA Coordinator David Searby says it's his team's job to plan what steps to take when a train is derailed.
One thing you have to know is what you're dealing with. You know, certain chemicals require certain evacuation zones.
Searby says hazardous materials such as ethanol could involve a half-a-mile evacuation zone.
Each village identified with secondary routes and primary routes.
The EMA has set up alternative routes for residents to take so they can leave as quickly as possible.
The protocols under the emergency operations plan set out how we would notify the public. Obviously, reaching out to the media to get it out on television, radio, even the internet would be as quick as we could.
Union Pacific spokesman Mark Davis says it's also important to keep an eye out for suspicious behavior.
Any theft or act of aggression against the railroad is a threat to not only the railroad itself, but then the commodities, goods, and if it is Amtrak or passenger, the people.
Both Searby and Davis say their employees are trained regularly for an emergency. In Perry County, Evie Allen, News 3.
And officials say it's important for people to keep a lookout for anything unusual aboard trains or along railroad tracks. And if you're a train passenger, know where the emergency exits are just in case there's a problem. Turning back to our weather, some people enjoyed the sunshine and the water at the Marion Pool earlier today. Looks like some hotter weather is on the way. Jim's forecast is coming up next.
Putting accuracy first, this is News 3 weather.
Today's been one of those days where we are so close to a storm center that we're actually watching two fronts move through. A warm front, we really saw temperatures jump up, most everyone seeing highs moving into the 90s. And now a cold front is moving through the region. The biggest impact so far, the clearing of the skies. Beautiful blue skies out there for a lot of folks. Haze and humidity sort of disappearing, and also a shift to a northwest wind going on at the same time. Watching a 6-hour animation, you can see the thunderstorms that popped up, big storms in Johnson County. We've also seen quite a bit of activity up around Wayne County and now in Callaway County in western Kentucky. A little cell just popping up looking like it's going to cross across Kentucky Lake over the next few minutes. Temperatures bouncing around a little bit. Again, when you're dealing with multiple fronts in a day, you would expect that. 82 currently in Mount Vernon, but 92 in Poplar Bluff and to our west. The cooler, drier air coming in, and we're always talking in relative terms here. But 81 degrees coming in from Rolla at the airport during the last hour. Widen out the view off to the north, Chicago at 68, Indianapolis 71, while to the south, Little Rock is now up to 97. Off way to the west, Liberal 93, Amarillo reporting 95 degrees. Satellite imagery kind of interesting as we watch when the thunderstorms develop. They're right on top of us, and then as the thunderstorms move past, the clouds move out, a lot of clearing coming in. Should be a clear night tonight. I expect a lot of sunshine tomorrow. We'll put partly cloudy in the forecast page, but honestly, it looks like it's going to be a mostly sunny kind of day. That line of thunderstorms moving away, pretty good indicator of the fronts we're watching. Again, warm front, cold front. The cold front is now moving through this map just a little bit on the old side. So some of that cooler, drier air will sweep across almost the entire region tonight and bring us a very pleasant evening. Our low today, 68, and our high, 92. Normal temperature, 64 and 87. So it has been a warmer than normal day. Storm Commander zoomed in. We did have some warnings issued earlier today with the thunderstorms as they were popping up. No reports of any wind damage coming in, but we did have a couple of reports called in of large hail. But again, that thunderstorm activity moving away from us right now. Skycast shows the clearing. It sticks around tonight and through tomorrow. But by the time we get to Friday, there's one chance for scattered storms. And by the time we get to the end of the day, another chance for scattered storms expected on Friday. A lot of that coming with a return of the front as a warm front, more hot and humid air rolling in. And it looks like that air will stick around for the weekend. Tomorrow, though, a break from the heat, looking like afternoon temperatures in the upper 80s, but cycle through Friday and into Saturday and on into Sunday. And it looks like we're going to be right back into the 90s, temperatures similar to what we had around this afternoon. So for tonight, we've still got the chance of storms for a little while longer. For most of us, that risk is already gone. And it looks like a mostly clear night with a low temperature down around 64. Tomorrow, mostly sunny to partly cloudy. Wind starting to turn out of the south in the afternoon. A high temperature up to around 89, but that's with lower humidity. And that's the nicest day coming up, because then the heat and humidity roll back in, bring back the chance for scattered storms. The biggest chance on Friday. And by Sunday, for Father's Day, a muggy morning at 74 and a hot, humid afternoon with a high expected around 93.
At least we're used to it by now.
Yeah, things start to bounce around now. We may be spoiled between tonight and tomorrow. It's going to be a real nice break from the heat and humidity, and then it'll roll back.
I'll come back. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jim. Coming up in sports, the Cardinals try to end a season-worst losing skid. And the Miners lose a member of their bullpen to the Yankees. That story next in sports.
This is News 3 Sports in HD.
Well, the Miners' loss was the New York Yankees' gain. Reliever Corey Cowsert pitched his last game for Southern Illinois after being signed by the Bronx Bombers yesterday. Cowsert heads to the rookie Gulf Coast League in Florida. Now, in 11 appearances for the Miners, he had a .55 ERA. Tonight, the Miners will try and make it 6 straight wins, and in the process extend their lead in the West Division over Florence to 3 games with a sweep. Last night, the Miner Bats roughed up Tim Holmes, one of the Frontier League's top pitchers, for 4 runs. Ryan Zink gets the start tonight. First pitch set for around 7:05. Well, the Cardinals can blame their bullpen for their season-worst 4th straight loss last night. The Redbirds got strong early performances from Albert Pujols and Lance Berkman, who both homered in the first 4 innings against the Nationals. At one point, St. Louis had a 5-run lead in the game, but the 7th inning proved costly for Miguel Batista, Trevor Miller, and Jason Mott, who surrendered 6 runs. Tonight, Kyle McClellan will make his first start since coming off the DL. Well, meanwhile, thanks to a Cubs win, the Cards and Brewers stayed deadlocked in the standings. Aramis Ramirez's 2-run homer in the 8th forced extra innings for Chicago. Then in the bottom of the 10th, Starlin Castro hit a walk-off single to ensure a Cubs win. Tonight, Carlos Zambrano will get the start against Chris Narveson. Well, with 8 new faces on SIU basketball's team, a home opener was of utmost importance. Dogs announced their non-conference schedule for next season. Salukis open with Division II Ohio Dominican in November. The Dogs also renew regional rivalries with SLU and Western Kentucky. SIU plays 4 non-conference road games, starting with Northeastern. But the highlight of the Dogs' schedule by far is the Diamond Head Classic in Hawaii over Christmas. The pairings for that tourney have not yet been announced. Well, the third time is the charm for 2 of NASCAR's greats, Darrell Waltrip and Cale Yarborough. The pair of championship drivers got into the NASCAR Hall of Fame on their 3rd try, headlining a class of 5. Now, Waltrip won 84 races during an illustrious career that included 3 titles in the 80s. Yarborough, meanwhile, won a close 83 races and 3 consecutive titles from 1976 to 78. He also owns 4 wins at Daytona. That class will be inducted into NASCAR's Hall of Fame next January.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Coming up, a good day for some golfing, especially because it helped an important cause. Stay with us. Golfers were taking swings in the fight against cancer today. Dozens of people took to the greens at Stone Creek Golf Course in Makanda. It was the 3rd annual Kroger American Cancer Society golf fundraiser. Prizes included shirts, hats, coolers, and golfing items. Sponsors say this is a great way to give back to the community.
We have about about 80 people. We have a lot of our vendors that work at our stores. They come and help benefit the event.
The event today raised $5,500. Again, it's the third year for the Kroger American Cancer Society Golf Classic. And Jim, you're saying tonight and tomorrow, good time to get outside.
Yeah, a little bit of a break from the heat. We know we're moving into the hot part of the year. Temperatures starting to improve a little bit. 82 coming in from Mount Vernon, 87 in Paducah. Poplar Bluff still very hot at 92, but look towards Rolla at 81. That is the air that will roll in here for later tonight and tomorrow morning. And by the time we get to Friday, heat and humidity starting to roll back in.
Soak it up tomorrow.
Yeah, enjoy it.
All right, thank you, Jim. Entertainment Tonight is coming up next. We'll see you again at 10. Have a good evening.